Hey everyone, Reptile Sam here. Today we're going to talk about substrate for your different reptiles and what works best in different scenarios. Here I've got two different substrates that are very common. Raptor Bark from ZooMed and Aspen Bedding also from ZooMed. So I'd like to talk to you today about these substrates as well as a few others and the pros and cons of each substrate. Let's talk about Raptor Bark first. Raptor Bark is a really good bedding, and it is made from fir bark. So, fir bark is good because it holds moisture really well, it holds heat pretty well, and it's a very natural type of bedding for your snakes to move around on. I currently have Raptor Bark in Tom's tank mixed in with a little bit of Coco Fiber bedding, which I'll tell you about later. The problem with Raptor Bark is that snakes cannot tunnel in it, and it packs down really hard. So the packing down very hard can be a pro and a con. The good side about that is that it becomes a very natural type of outdoor type feel, but it becomes very hard to clean sometimes, and you have to throw away a lot when you do clean. And furthermore, your snakes virtually cannot burrow or tunnel in it because it is solid wood chips. Coco Fiber bedding is a really good option, and I'll show you an example of it in Sprout's tank. Coco Fiber usually comes in blocks or bricks that are about this size, and you soak them in water to expand them to their full dirt. Now, the difficult part about Coco Fiber bedding is that you have to put it outdoors on a towel to sun dry and wring out. It makes the towel dirty, and it can be kind of a hassle, but as far as the bedding goes, it's really good. It can be a bit messy, but it tunnels really well. It's a nice loose substrate that your sinks can go under, and they really have a lot of fun with it. So I do recommend Coco Fiber bedding if you're willing to have a little bit of a mess, or you keep your snakes in a glass enclosure where things won't spill out the front, so you don't have to worry about that dirt spilling out the front. Just to rehash, this is Raptor Bark. Now there is some Coco Fiber bedding mixed in here. However, Tom's bed is primarily Raptor Bark right now. This is Coco Fiber. You can see it's much more easy to move around. It's essentially just a really good dirt that holds humidity very well. Sprout loves Coco Fiber, and she likes to tunnel around. Even with her being in it for a long time, it's still nice and loose. It doesn't get packed down like Raptor Bark does. But again, it is a lot messier and a little bit harder to clean up. So there are some trade-offs, but if you just have like one or two snakes, this is a great option for your snake. Next, let's move on to Aspen Bedding. I'm going to be using Aspen Bedding in Tom's, Boba's, and Sprout's enclosures when they get moved to my snake rack, which, keep your eyes peeled, that video is coming soon. My snake rack from Vision should be here in a few days, and I'll try to post a video of the assembly as well as another video about the review of the product. So Aspen snake bedding is favored by breeders all over the world for several reasons. It holds humidity well, it doesn't mold very easily, and it's very easy to clean. It's a very lightweight substance, and it also is easy for snakes to tunnel in. So for snakes like Boba, who is currently in sand, he'll also be able to tunnel in his Aspen bedding as easy as he does in sand, and it should be better for his respiratory health as well. So I'm planning on putting all three snakes in Aspen bedding when they get moved to their snake rack. Herman currently lives on felt, and felt was recommended by his veterinarian because it holds heat very well and it's easy to clean up. And for when Herman was sick, let's see if we can find him. He's still not feeling too well. He has not fed in a while, so we're still keeping an eye on him. But his vet recommended felt as a bedding for Herman. This was because Herman had mites when I got him, and he's also not doing well, and it was easier to clean felt than it was Raptor Bark, which he was originally on. I do like how well the felt is holding heat. However, it also does a poor job at holding humidity. So if you need a snake with high heat and low humidity, this is a good option. If you have a snake like a boa constrictor, like Herman, that needs humidity, be sure to spray your tank every day to help keep the humidity high, and also keep a full water bowl available. I need to fill it up for your snake to get in and to stay hydrated. So felt is another option that you can use for your snakes. let's discuss two other beddings that I don't like but I understand. Paper towels and newspapers. The only time I've ever used paper towel bedding has been when I buy a new snake and it's on quarantine and it needs to not be around other snakes, and I want to make sure that it does not have mites. Paper towels are great for this because you can see the mites crawling on them and it's easy to clean. You just throw away paper towels, you have new ones. The other option, newspapers, are used by many breeders because it's easy for the snakes to crawl under and to hide under, but it's not very attractive, and I believe it's even less comfortable than paper towels. So if you need to do one of the options, I recommend paper towels over newspapers. Lastly, we have sand mats and sand. So nobody ever recommends, including myself, using actual sand for bearded dragons or leopard geckos. There's one caveat. Sand should not be used for baby bearded dragons. After Bosk reached about 2 years old, I began putting actual sand in her enclosure, and Bosk loves it. I've never had a problem with Bosk eating the sand. Bosk simply kicks it around, poops on it, plays in it, buries herself under it, really enjoys her sand. So for adult bearded dragons, personally, I believe sand is fine. Until they're adults, or if you don't like sand as a bedding, you can use a sand mat, which you can see below Bosk's sand right now. Sand mats are really durable. They can range anywhere from about $15 to about $45 or $60. I think this one is about $20. And sand mats work great. They are pretty easy to clean. You just pick up their droppings off of it, and there's Bosk looking at the dogs running past me. And it's just a great substrate to have on the bottom of your lizard's tank. It's not good for snakes as they can't really get comfortable on it, but for lizards, a sand mat is a great way to go. There's no substrate. All these things that look like rocks are actually secured to the bottom of the substrate. So it feels like sand, and your lizards will like it. One thing I will warn you about is crickets can crawl under the edges. So if you are feeding live crickets to your lizards, be wary of crickets crawling under the edges. It looks like Edgar wanted to say hello. Edgar is also on a sand mat, and it's easier to see on his sand mat what it looks like. Because, as I said, we do not use sand for our leopard gecko, only a sand mat. Now the sand mat, I think Edgar really likes, especially because he has over tank heating rather than an under tank heater. And with the light bulbs heating Edgar's tank, we don't have to worry about the sand mat not being warm enough for him. He's really able to get a good warm area with the sand mat. For under tank heating, it can be a little bit harder to get your sand mat as hot as you'd like it because it covers up the under tank heater. So if you do choose to use under tank heating for a leopard gecko or a bearded dragon, well, bearded dragons always need over tank heating. However, if you use under tank heating for a leopard gecko, make sure that you use a reptile carpet or felt like you saw in Herman, my boa constrictor's tank. This will allow the heat to get more regulated throughout the tank rather than having to worry about heat not coming through your sand mat. So today we've discussed Raptor Bark, Aspen Bedding, Coco Fiber, felt, sand, and sand mats. So reptile carpet is essentially the same thing as felt. So that's all I have to say on the matter for right now. So from Edgar and myself, Reptile Sam, we'll see you next time, and keep your eyes peeled for that video on the Vision rack system. Remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day.